It's rhubarb season and I'm always trying to find new ways to make things with rhubarb. I've made rhubarb barbecue sauce, I've made rhubarb curd, I've done rhubarb in a dal, made all sorts of things. This time we're going to have a go at making a rhubarb ketchup. Now to start this recipe we're going to need to get some rhubarb. So here is our rhubarb plant. It is massive, it is huge. We are doing so well with this. My name's Samantha, this is the channel Trying to Get By, and we're going to use up some rhubarb today. Right, let's get in here and cut. Well, we're not going to cut, we're going to twist. Now if you know rhubarb, you don't cut rhubarb, you twist it at the base. So pull and twist. And I think we're going to get about 3 of these lovely stems that we have got here. Let's find another one. This one will do. There we go. Those 3 stems should be enough to start us off. All we're going to do next is just trim off the leaves, because we don't need those. So I can leave these in the garden to rot down. I'll just pop them behind the rhubarb and I just let them rot. Right, I've given the rhubarb a quick old wash. The other ingredients we're going to need is some onion, some tomatoes, some garlic powder, a little bit of chilli, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of salt. We're going to need some pickling vinegar and some sugar. Now the recipe that I got, I will put in the description box below. They omitted the sugar completely and by accident, and found that it worked quite well. I'm just going to add half the sugar. So she puts in brown sugar and white sugar, or you could. I'm just going to put in the brown sugar and see where we're up to with that. So we're going to start with 2 cups of rhubarb, and the rhubarb only needs to be chopped sort of half inch pieces. So hopefully we've got enough here to make 2 cups of rhubarb. We shall see. So we've got 1 cup, that's just going to go in the pan. Let's see if this quite makes another, oh, just shy of a cup. I think I might go get some more rhubarb. We just got another small piece to top up that one, and we're going to go on to the onion next. I am saving my onion skins at the moment, just popping them in a bag, because I want to get and see if I can do my own onion powder. So I'm going to collect a load of onion skins, dry them out either in the oven or in my Instant Pot on the dehydrate function, and see if I can grind it and make some onion powder. I know it can be done. We're going to have a go and see what happens. So next we need a cup of onion. So I'm just going to roughly chop this onion up. I don't think we need it necessarily diced really, really small. I mean, I've done these slices quite thin, and this is not a knife you would normally use. It's actually a steak knife, but I find it quite good with onion because it's got a nice serrated edge and it just seems to work a little bit better. So just mind your fingers. There we go. Let's see how much that is. So this was a good, just larger than tennis ball size onion. And we are nearly there with our cup of onion. Now this is going to be blended obviously at the end. So like I say, I'm not too worried about, I think maybe that much more, let's see, about us having not perfectly tiny diced pieces. There we go. So yeah, you're using nearly 3/4 of this onion to create that 1 cup that we need. Right. In that goes. Let's get the heat on and we can start adding all the other ingredients. We've got our onion and our rhubarb in there. I'm going to add half a cup of white vinegar. This is 5% acidity vinegar, so it's suitable for canning. The reason I'm making this particular recipe is because I want to see how it comes out. So I don't want to make a big batch to start with. I'm just going to make a small one, because I think if it works out well, I'm going to make a big batch and then can it, so we've got loads of ketchup ready for us. Right, next ingredients. We are doing our ½ cup of brown sugar. There we go. Then 1 can of tomatoes. These are chopped tomatoes. I don't normally get chopped, and I can't remember why I ended up with these ones. I normally prefer plum tomatoes, but this works. Do you know what? Do you know what I should have done? I should have put emptied this in first, put the vinegar in here, swished it around, and got all the rest of that tomato juice out. Remember that for next time. Might put a little note on my recipe. A teaspoon of salt. I'm going to make sure I stick to this. And teaspoon of salt. Then a 1/4 teaspoon, where is my 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, which I'm not a big fan of cinnamon, but I think I can cope with a 1/4 teaspoon of that. 3/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Now the reason these are all random amounts, so that's a half and a half of a half, is because I reduced the size of the recipe. A 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, just so that I could, like I say, this is my sample version of it. Now, have we got everything? Rhubarb, onion, vinegar, sugar, tomato, salt, cinnamon, garlic powder, chili powder. Bring to the boil and simmer for 5 minutes. No, bring to the boil and simmer for 45 minutes. So using this cast iron will generally get the heat up pretty quickly. So that's what we're going to do. We have bubbled away now for a good 45 minutes. Things are nice and soft and tender. We're going to go in with the hand stick blender. Please be careful. The tomato will be nuclear hot. So, you know, if your hand blender's probably a little bit easier, you might get a bit of splashage. So just like I say, be careful. If you're going to do it in a stand blender, cool it down for a little bit first, because we know that that stuff can just go everywhere. So please, please, please be careful. Okay, health and safety warning done. I'm going to start blending. Right, that I would say is nice and thick and looks really, really good. Smells really nice. The thing to do now is do a taste test, which we've said is going to be nuclear powered. So just a little bit. I'm just going to spread it around on the spoon a bit just to cool that down. Now this is where we find out, is it sweet enough? Do we need to put more sugar in? I'd say for my taste, I mean, I like a good tang, but I think it's just that little bit too tangy. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of extra sugar. That's probably that's a ½ cup container, but it's probably a third of that. So I'm going to blend it again just to get it all mixed in. Right, second try. Amazingly, that is better. I've still got the tang of the rhubarb, the slightly sour onion, but that has just taken off that, you know, the edge of that sourness. So that is really good. I'm going to let that cool down now. So turn off all the heat, let that cool down. That will probably thicken up even more. Once it's cool, I'm going to give it another blend just to make sure I've got all the last little bits blended up. And that because we have put the pickling vinegar in and it's quite sour ingredients. Once it is jarred up, it will last a good few months in the fridge. As I said, I'm going to do a bigger portion of it and jar that up and water bath can it for, I think it'll only need maybe 20 minutes, half an hour for that to be water bath can, because the majority is tomato and the sour of the rhubarb. So once you've got those kind of ingredients, you should be good to go. If you're not certain of timings, there are different, there's Le Parfait, which is a French group that does timings. Or if you're in the US, you have slightly stricter regulations. I think it's the USDA do your regulations. So, or is it, I think it's the USDA. I might be wrong. Yes, US Department of Agriculture. Yeah, anyway, just check on those. Or I will probably just double check on my Facebook group that I use for canning, and they do water bath canning. So that's a big batch of that I'm going to end up making. I'll give Chris a bit of a taste and see what he thinks. And if he agrees, then my rhubarb this year will be going to a significant amount of ketchup being made. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will put a link, like I said, in the description box to the recipe that I previously used. And I'll put over here some more rhubarb recipes if you're interested, because there's loads of other things you can make with rhubarb. And remember, rhubarb is actually a vegetable. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.